I was just about to say, who put Jimmy Butler?
This NBA play-in picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com and use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses.
Hey, this is John Sally, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. We're gonna blame Colby on this one, but he broke the studio again.
Wow.
Unrelated to us trying to talk NBA. We will overcome this adversity, though.
Yeah, and wow. Yeah, what's up with the video, Ryan? Every time I open up the show now, my video is black. It's like you're trying to.
We'll have to look into
sandbag me over here.
I will say the one bit of correlation we have is that every show it's happened, Colby was in here before.
It is an unfortunate trend for Colby, even if he wasn't directly responsible. All right, we're here. NBA playoffs are here, of course. Now the NBA. What has it been? 2 years in a row. They have a nice little added play-in tournament. So we got that going. We're going to be doing our play-in tournament picks here. And then later on the week, we will be doing the full NBA playoff preview. Joining us from the NBA Gambling Podcast, Mr. Munaf, the Machine Manji. What's happening, Munaf?
We're just here for our respect. The NBA Gambling Podcast wants their respect. Scott wants his respect.
Yes.
Delonte wants his respect.
Yes.
The villain Terrell wants his respect.
Oh, wow.
And I want my damn respect too.
We are here to pay homage to the National Basketball Association and all those who cover it. Joining us as well, Terrell the Villain Furman from the NBA Gambling Podcast. What's happening, Terrell?
Well, it just sounds like it's blame Kobe day. Blame Kobe for this. Blame Kobe for that. I'm about to blame Kobe for why it took so long to get us back on the show. That's what I'm blaming Kobe for.
That's great.
Blaming Kobe on everything.
That feels like an accurate person to blame. He's also look. You guys are lucky you don't deal with him directly because his opinions of the NBA probably not shared by you guys.
Yes, we're doing our best to fully embrace the NBA.
Shine a light on this small up and coming league known as the National Basketball Association.
I'm so committed to the NBA. I was not going to show up for this podcast.
Oh, wow.
I was going to take a rest day, make sure. Like
load management. Like you've been on a lot of podcasts.
You've been working hard. You've been doing one podcast every other day. It gets you sometimes.
This is the second podcast of the day. Could you imagine if they played 2 games of basketball in a 24-hour period?
Back to back.
I got some hamstring issues. I was out in Vegas, slightly dehydrated. I'm not gonna miss. How many weeks has Zion missed with this hamstring pull, Terrell? How long has he been out?
What day did he get into the league?
Yeah, I mean,
what is it? All right, now we have
ask Kobe when he came out of Duke. That's when it happened.
Why does Zion not want to play basketball? He's really good at basketball. I stopped playing basketball because I kept getting dominated in rec leagues by these guys who clearly played Division I ball, and it was supposed to be a stand-up comedian league. I'm getting dunked on. Like, come on, you're not a 6'7" comedian that can also dunk. I understand why I don't want to play basketball, but Zion's really good at basketball. Why does he not want to play?
Well, I don't think it's Zion. I think it's the fact that the team does not want Zion to not work out. That's really the issue here. There is such an emphasis on making sure that Zion works out that we're going to do everything humanly possible to make sure it's not our fault. And if that means we're not going to play him at all and he's just going to be on the team and just kind of hang out by the bench and be in the locker room and give guys the support and do all these other things and keep talking and never playing and wear street clothes, really, really bad street clothes all the time at that, then Zion will do that because he's not getting a longer term injury. But at some point, you have to realize that we are now paying this man $200 million for him to ride the bench. And if he's going to get hurt, he might as well get hurt playing the game. Like Anthony Davis, for all the jokes we have for Anthony Davis, at least he goes out there and he gives you a good 5 games before getting hurt. Zion's not even giving me 5.
And Anthony Davis has had back-to-back months where he's played most of the games and played pretty consistent. And he's kind of a big reason the Lakers are looking. That people are rumbling like, hey, maybe they have an outside shot to win the West because of how wide open the NBA playoffs are.
I remember back in, I want to say it was like 2017 or 2018 when Michael Porter Jr. was the big prospect, like massive prospect coming into Missouri, and he just didn't play. And people joked like this was going to be the new way of the future. And look at us now. Look at us now, Sean. Players just opting out left and right. Because you know the best way to not hurt your value, stay healthy.
Yeah, be available.
The best.
It doesn't matter what you've done, right? We only look forward in this new society.
So if you're hurt,
you're worth nothing to me.
The best ability is availability. Applies to the NBA and even here at SGPN.
But think about that, right? You're trying to create more availability by not being available. Really,
it's like the greatest,
makes no sense.
Like the greatest Inception complex of all time. But the crazy thing is, and here's the thing it gets me, is that okay, you're saving him. Great, I understand that. The play-in is this week.
Yes, what are you doing?
The play-in is this week. The playoffs are next week.
I mean,
he didn't play in the last playoff game, so they could actually be in 2 playoff series 2 years in a row, and he misses both.
He's boning my boy CJ McCollum. Munaf, we have to talk about the other big issue coming into the NBA. Okay. We were out in Vegas, and then it's like, oh wait, the Dallas Mavericks are sitting their entire team. But wait, aren't they still? Don't they still have a chance to make the playoffs? They're resting their entire team. But then wait, Luka's gonna play because he wants to win the scoring title. But wait, he's not gonna start the game. He's gonna check in for the second quarter, and then the Mavs were still somehow favored. In a game they were intentionally trying to lose. They were up 10 points. I guess luckily for them they lost. Now the NBA is investigating. I don't know what there is to investigate. They tried to lose. They almost won. What the hell are the Mavs doing, Munaf?
I have no idea. I think this was something that we talked about on the NBA pod with myself and Delonte. Like, what in the hell are the Mavericks thinking? It was funny because me, Terrell, and Scott were talking about it. That we saw a report that said Luka was going to play despite them having an outside chance to get in. They would have to win out and then Thunder would have to lose out, whatever the scenario was. I brought up the point, what you just said, that he was going to go for the scoring title. And then lo and behold, like a couple hours later, the news comes out that it's Slovenia night in Dallas in American Airlines Center. And then like another 30 minutes. Yeah. And then 30 minutes later, they go, yeah, Luka's going to play the game. He's going to play for 1 quarter and then he's going to check out. So
I just want to know, let's not count Luka. Okay, so we're not going to count Luka. How many people from Slovenia are in Dallas?
That's a great question. I'm very
curious at the number.
Well, maybe it's not.
I'm so curious at the number.
But you don't want to anger the.
Can I count it on my hands?
Yeah, I bet it's, well, again, they had a Slovenia night, so they must have had some sort of demand, and maybe Mark Cuban, the only thing he's worried about is the Slovenians coming in and getting them fired up.
Be careful, Terrell, because they quite the opposite of what you were predicting. Outside of Slovenia, Dallas, Texas is home to the most Slovenians in any one given city in the world.
Are you serious?
So now he's screwing over his country people? Oh my God.
So you're telling me in the one night they get all year, he plays 12 minutes and 5 seconds.
That's fucked up.
Maybe.
That feels like the kind of thing you get hit on. You get a hit like put on you for. This is going to be like Taken.
You could be in trouble.
I mean, again, who knew? Now we know. A lot of Slovenians in Dallas.
Yes.
So there. I mean, maybe we don't like people from Slovenia because they're Cowboys fans. At least the ones in Texas.
Again, as long as they're not rooting for the Cowboys, I got no beef with the Slovenians there. All right, what are any other big NBA storylines we should get to before hopping in on the play-in tournament? It does seem like, correct me if I'm wrong, most wide open NBA playoffs in a long time. Like I know who's the betting favorite, but I mean, it feels like this is one of the more wide open years, right, Terrell?
I think that I felt this way until Kevin Durant got traded to the Phoenix Suns. And now I cannot look at anybody in that Western Conference and say, oh yeah, with a healthy Kevin Durant, that team can definitely beat Phoenix in 4 times in one series. I can't. I really can't. So while I think that it's wide open in terms of everybody outside of Phoenix has a chance, at the end of the day, it's like Phoenix and not much else for me on the Western Conference side of the ball. And the Eastern Conference, I think there's a little bit more of a discussion to be had.
Yeah, and I guess for the West too, it would certainly be unparalleled for a player to or a team to pick up their best player and go on a run in the championship for a guy that played this few games for them. You know, they traded for him mid-season. He got injured. He barely had time to get used to the offense.
He slipped on that water. Remember that? The banana peel?
That was I mean,
that ball. Oh, that water, not water, the mopper, the guy that's supposed to be swiping up all the sweat. He's like on the corner looking for a job right now.
Yeah,
like he was fired before the game was over.
Yeah.
He was up out of there, and those guys be making some serious cheddar too. So they got him up out of there. He is no longer.
Well, I don't. I mean, I imagine
no pension.
They took his pension.
I probably didn't have a pension.
I mean, I imagine if you're a guy who mops stuff, that is like the dream. That has to be the top mopping gig in the world. NBA. Court mopping, and yeah, he really blew that.
Have we ever paid? We've never paid a compliment. We've never paid a compliment to a mopper before. What is this? Is like offensive line treatment.
Yeah, they go under the radar until something goes wrong.
Let's talk about the guy that had to follow Patrick Ewing around for 15 years in the guard. And
they had like they had a crew. They had a pit crew to follow.
We got Zamboni,
Ewing, and pick up all that sweat.
That's a pretty funny.
Look at all the eyes on the moppers now. All the eyes on them now.
that must be so much pressure
mess
for
up twice.
For
supervisor standing over his shoulder, pointing at a spot on the floor.
All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about some of these playing games. Before we do that, shout out to Shady Rays. Love my Shady Rays. Was wearing them all week, hanging out at the stadium swim pool. It was they were awesome. They were great. Knocked the sun out. The nice polarized shades. They looked awesome. Again, you look sharp, you bet sharp. Love me my Shady Rays. They offer the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by their lost and broken replacements policy, which is just insane. Again, you lose it, you break them day one. I'm pretty sure the Shady Rays are in my truck, but if they aren't, doesn't matter. Shady Rays are going to get me a new pair of shades if I need them. And again, if you don't like them for whatever reason, and I know you're going to love them, you can exchange them for free within 30 days. I know Munaf just got a pair for him and his wife. Look pretty sharp there. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All right, Kramer, let's talk playing basketball.
All right. Some might have been prepared, and then I might have accidentally closed everything. So give me 1 second. I mean, I'm lucky I didn't close the whole show where the stream is still active. So everything's under control. All right. Tuesday, they broke it up nicely here. We get to see. So I heard as the show was starting, Terrell take issue with Jimmy Butler being on the thumbnail. Care to elaborate, Terrell?
I wouldn't say I took issue, but it was just more of the fact that I forgot Miami was in the play-in because they had a horrible season.
Because who else would we put on the cover but Michael Jordan's only heir playing in the NBA? The Atlanta Hawks here catching 5.5 points, plus 170 on the money line. Heat minus 200, 226.5 is the total. Shout out to the NBA guys for giving me the testicular fortitude to take a Heat to win the division. Season long prop, even at minus odds. Probably a little sweatier than we had expected. but we cashed that bitch. I think I didn't actually go and check. I checked 2 days ago and it looked good.
Yes.
Okay, so we're that was a joke. Relax, guys. All right, so I'm gonna say nothing further. Munaf, obviously you were taking the Heat here, right?
No, sir, we're not, or at least I'm not. I don't want to steal Terrell's thunder because he's been on this trend. So I'm gonna let him take the handicap, but I'm on the Atlanta Hawks.
Let's go, Terrell. Tell me why.
I mean, the Hawks have been horrible. ATS, one of the worst teams in the league, 30, 49-3, 14, 25-2 at home. Why are they not showing up, Terrell?
I mean, I wish I could tell you, but this is a day long trend that tracks back all the way to when LeBron left the Heat, that they do not cover the spread at home. 20, 36-3 as a favorite this season, 14, 25-2 at home this season. Now, granted, I will give them a little break because I think that the playoffs elevates things to a different level and a different standard.
Yeah, who can forget when their fans were leaving the game and then were locked out and couldn't get back in?
Oh, that was an all-timer. Let us back in. Let us back in. Imagine winning. They won that was the night they won, right?
Yeah. You imagine missing that, you fucking losers. All right, continue, Terrell.
No, I mean, that's just it. This team does not care about covering the spread. They don't care about winning by margin. In fact, a lot of the times they're kind of down when you get to the fourth quarter in games. Like, they're down, and then you have the superhuman effort of Michael Jordan's only heir, Jimmy Butler, that comes in and kind of helps muscle them to a win. So I think that I'm expecting the same kind of game script here for Atlanta, especially because this is like a little bit of a, hey, we got to get some get back. Atlanta got embarrassed by this team in the playoffs last year, and where I don't think they got swept. I think Atlanta got one game, but
gentleman's sweep, 4-1.
Yeah, gentleman's sweep for them. So I like that. I think that adding DeJounte Murray on this year, it gives them some length to be able to disrupt the passing lanes for the Heat. It gives them another slasher, another scorer with ability. John Collins back for another season. I think that he's had a pretty good season, 50.8% from the field. So a pretty solid contribution from him. But I think the X factor and the guy that I'm really going to be looking at is Sadiq Bey and Bogdan Bogdanovic coming off the bench. Like, those two guys can really, really space the floor for this team. They're both shooting 40% from three, and that's been one of the Heat's weak spots all season, is defending the three-point line. So if those two guys can come off the bench and give you some quality, well-timed threes, then I think Atlanta can keep this close. I'm not picking Atlanta outright, but I like them in the 5 points.
See what he did there? You can say Terrell's getting seasoned. He made you understand.
I'm not gonna go too crazy.
Just so just a little tiny little baby hedge there.
I'd been auto fading the Heat most of the season. Well, anytime they were playing, although we were randomly out in Vegas, and I
randomly out in Vegas.
Well, not randomly, but I was randomly
betting on the NBA.
Randomly betting on the NBA, and of course I took the Sixers, and they were already locked into the 3 seed. But I go, everyone's playing. Very clear early on, they didn't give a shit about the result.
Yes,
and then I just put it on Quinnipiac hockey with the rest of the guys, and we made it back on some Quinnipiac college Frozen Four hockey.
We haven't informed Colby. He needs to get a college hockey experience.
College hockey is pretty fun. I was planning on just fading the Heat because of how bad they've been ATS, but I look at how the Hawks have been on the road, 18-22 ATS, and also to me, I read an interview from Jimmy Butler. Also, quick side note: we should try and get Jimmy Butler's nickname Air Jordan, but say HEIR Jordan, and give that Jimmy Butler his nickname. So I think we should get that going. That's Jimmy, a side project.
Wait, just imagine the announcer, Jimmy Air Jordan.
Yeah. It works. It works. And Jimmy was talking. I don't know why he did the interview, because he was just mad at the guy the entire time. He's like, "You're not going to pick us to win. Doesn't even matter.
I love
no one thinks we're going to win anything." He was really fired up. And I would say also they've really done a good job defensively, holding the Hawks well below their 3-point average in the 4 games they've played, all the way down from 36 to 30%. I think the Heat are one of those teams that has a playoff switch. And again, like Jimmy Butler regular season, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is a completely different thing. I was always bummed when they got rid of the Sixers decided to take Ben Simmons' side versus Jimmy Butler. Basically, Jimmy Butler thought Ben Simmons was a bitch and didn't want to play with him.
He's right.
And so they made the mistake of sticking with Ben Simmons.
He was on to him.
I'm gonna take the Heat. I understand why this number isn't great, but I just can't fade Jimmy Butler in the playoffs right now.
Wait, and so Terrell, your trend was for just postseason games?
No, so that was regular season. So
Got
that
it.
was regular
All right,
season.
so while we were talking,
so it does turn off for the postseason.
Well, listen to this.
It's a little different.
Hold on, guys. Feel free to switch your pick over to the dark side, aka the Heat, because if you apply the filter to the playoffs since 2010, the Heat are actually 40-28 against the spread. So,
okay,
it
sounds right.
They're fair weather fans.
Especially
They'll
a lot of
show
those years. A lot of those years since 2010, you got the big 3 years. So
I also wonder too, is a play-in game enough to get a Miami fan out to the stadium? No, it's not full blown. It's not full blown.
Well, and also too, like the Hawks on the road in a play-in game.
No, I'm laying the points.
They got rid of Nate McMillan because he couldn't get the Hawks to play any defense, and defense actually matters in the NBA.
What
playoffs.
did you tell me before we?
What
started
I will say is that Quinn Snyder has the Hawks locked into a different mode. Like you can see, there's a different energy
He's a good
about
coach.
the team, and so I think that I was curious about the hire because I don't ever recall somebody getting hired and then thrown on the bench the next day. Like you're coaching the team going forward the next day. It's always been, oh yeah, they'll take over next season. No. You have the team right now coming off of the street. And so I think Quinn Snyder has his team locked into a different mode. But remember, this is the play-in for a reason. These two teams were 7 and 8. Like they're not that good. So
yeah, that is true.
I'd rather just go ahead and take the points.
Sean, what was you said something to me before we started the show?
Oh, I had a great trend.
Yeah, just roll
this is a great trend.
Kind of stole my. Well, I was going to be my angle, but I don't want to steal it
from the play-in game. The play-in tournament trends: 7 seeds are 4-0 versus 8 seeds. 9 seeds 4-0 versus 10 seeds. So we haven't had any sort of upsets in the play-in tournament.
That was just straight
so
up
far. Yeah, straight up, not ATS.
Okay.
What? Wait, Kramer, where are you going? Are you?
I started
Miami?
the whole thing with obviously I'm on Miami. Jimmy Butler's not losing a 1-game playoff.
Well, now again, walk. Munaf,
I get it. Yeah, you have to cover 5.
Walk us through the 7-8. Obviously, the loser then plays the winner of the 9-10, right?
Yeah. Right. So 7 and 8, the winner obviously will become the 7th seed, and the loser will take on the winner of the 9th seed to determine who will be the 8th seed to play the 1 seed.
Yeah, that's
easy enough.
I mean, but still, teams are tanking to get out. That's the problem with. Again, I've said this before, but the problem with a sport that doesn't have any sort of financial punishment for ownership for sucking. Eventually, and in this case, there's no relegation in the NBA, obviously, like soccer overseas. But in this case, they're a smart team, and their analytics probably said, "Hey, you know what's better? Like getting into the playoff and getting knocked out is worse than getting just knocked out and getting a better probability of getting this top asset or whatever." Like that's all we've come to. We've come to a situation where that's all that matters.
Have you already got your Houston Rockets Wembanyama jersey?
Oh, I've been praying every night. There's no doubt. I've been praying every night that we get the number 1 pick, and we get Victor Wembanyama.
All the prayers in the world not gonna help you because the league is not letting that happen.
Where is he going, Terrell? Where's the best place for him to go for the league?
Which envelope will be frozen?
He's going to play for Team. He's going to play for Team International and the San Antonio Spurs. Team International.
Really?
This has been in the making. There's no way that you sat there and saw the Spurs at the bottom of the roster and said, "Oh, the NBA's not gonna make that happen." The team that had Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, all of these international greats, they literally could build their own international all-star team just with former players of the San Antonio Spurs and probably make themselves longer than any of these teams in the play-in. So, yeah, 100%. I'm pretty sure he's going to the Spurs.
You think the league wants that?
Yeah, who knows?
I probably want Pop to be put out to pasture at this point. He's too much of a loose cannon. This guy he's got loose lips. He might start to talk. All right. So we're all well, not we're all.
No, you and I
are on the winning side.
Miami. I'm going to say it's Miami. Are we going to call it at -5? It looks like we've got a little line movement here.
Look, I like when you do this, when you adjust it in our favor.
Miami.
Ooh.
I'm seeing Miami -5 over on my.
Well, we're not fucking squares betting bad numbers.
It's down to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Let's go.
Obviously, Munaf and Terrell already got down on it.
Yeah, we'll give them the 5.5.
Yeah, come on, Sean. You're not supposed to talk about the tout tricks on air. then people get upset about it. Be like, oh, closing line value. Timberwolves +275, +8 against the Lakers, who are -330. 231.5 is the total. Money line, aka and spread here, suggesting that what Sean said earlier is believed by many. Also, do we have the music queued up for as the? Also, it seems like maybe the Timberwolves are going through a bit of a rough patch.
He was brought there
like sands through the hourglass. So are the days of our league.
Rudy Gobert showed up in Minnesota to heal the T-Wolves and take them to new heights. But wait, what if he was the real villain all along? And nobody liked him. And one guy called him a bitch and he punched him and he's out for the game.
Episode would be called Shot to the Heart.
Terrell's acting was very, very good on that as the league turns. Terrell, walk us through the latest NBA drama. Rudy Gobert, the T-Wolves gave up a shit ton to pick him up. Everyone thought this trade is horrible. You're giving up too much for Rudy Gobert. T-Wolves say, we don't care. We're close. We're going to take the next step. Seems like not embraced fully by his teammates, to say the least. He was called a bitch. He punched a guy in the shoulder. They suspended him for a game. What else am I missing here?
Well, it's a lot to go on with this Rudy Gobert situation. Well, Kyle Anderson learned that, and as Bomani Jones said, that if you call somebody a bitch, you are going to find out rather quickly if they're really a bitch or not. Unfortunately for Rudy Gobert, he probably threw one of the weakest punches that I've ever seen in my life. And
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's not like he, the Draymond Green punch was like a real punch.
Oh yeah.
It was like, and he punched his shoulder.
There wasn't enough force behind it. And that's how it told me he really wasn't trying to fight for real. Because there wasn't enough force behind it for you to think it was a one-hitter quitter. And he didn't follow up with the second punch to make sure that one was going to be a good one. No, he threw one because he was trying to make sure, hey, I got tested. I got to throw one, but it's not going to connect. There's some people in the way. I'm going to reach over. Then it's all going to be over. So he just did a lot. And unfortunately, getting a 1-game suspension for that is actually kind of embarrassing on the team. I probably would have made him write a paragraph to Kyle Anderson in a very strongly, deeply worded letter, because that sounds like way more up to speed for Rudy Gobert, and how he responds to being criticized and being touted is a really stern talking to and having to write an apology letter.
Well, and rewatching it, it's like he does. It's almost a push the way he just kind of like throws his hand. It's a punch is pretty strong.
He is French. Should we really be that surprised? And also now
he retreated pretty easily from that fight.
No matter your politics, this guy has now, at minimum, punched a teammate and, when sick, spread his filthy germs all over the place.
He was
pretty shitty dude. Sean, I just had a great idea for some content. You and me standing in the office, TMZ style, just discussing the NBA.
Wow, yeah, that's must.
The best part about that is that after he threw the punch. After he threw the punch, Draymond Green tweeted, and he said, I think, tweeted about Rudy Gobert, because when Draymond Green threw the first punch at Jordan Poole, Rudy Gobert tweeted out, "Insecurity is always loud." Ooh. And so after
Draymond was just sitting on that one.
Draymond went and tweeted out, "Insecurity is always loud."
Oh, he had that in his drafts. He was waiting.
He was just ready to fire.
Yeah, that was definitely in the draft. It's like, hey, Rudy better not ever throw a punch at anybody. I'm firing it off.
He's got that list of people who criticize him. Munaf, but from a basketball point of view, I mean, watching them, they seem to perk up and rally around the fact that they didn't have Rudy Gobert, and it seemed like Karl Anthony Towns maybe even played a little better without Rudy there. Like, is there a world where him being out for this game helps the T-Wolves? Am I crazy to think that?
I mean, the numbers and the stats back it up. I mean, for a stat nerd like me, I mean, I went back and looked at it at the beginning of the season. The Minnesota Timberwolves were really struggling trying to figure out how they're going to run their offense with both Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert on the floor. And if you just take a look at the pure numbers, I think they're averaging 7 more points per game without Rudy Gobert on the floor. So it's almost addition by subtraction for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But yeah, I we'll get into the game here in a second. But I mean, they rallied. They could have gone 2 ways, right? I personally thought that they would it would affect the locker room about him throwing the punch and all that. But, give credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man, against the Pelicans. They came out, they played well in that second half.
That's because everyone hates him. Like, I think.
Yeah, well, these locker room fights, I think, can go 2 ways. One, it's like, this is destroying the team. And the other is like, thank God we got that asshole out of here. And it seems like it's the second one. Yeah, they're not even letting him fly with the team.
Somewhere again, Donovan Mitchell was laughing.
Guys, no offense to the good people of France, but he is French. Yeah, don't you obviously take the points here? Live money line. Lakers are frauds. All I hear is fuck the Lakers. Lakers suck, and I live in Los Angeles.
Well, the Lakers obviously kind of a disappointing season, but like I mentioned earlier, with Anthony Davis, these past 2 months, they've been better, and you could talk yourself in to an idea that like they could go on a run in the Western Conference if they stay healthy, which is a huge if with Anthony Davis and with LeBron James, who again was dealing with some feet issue, but then he went to the LeBron James of foot doctors. That was just a great line. That guy, that's on that guy's business card or his like Yelp profile.
I'm the LeBron James of foot doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely pay for a commercial that airs only on the local channels.
Yeah, just with that
says,
loop.
Come to the LeBron James of foot doctors.
No, it doesn't even.
It's just by LeBron James.
Yeah, no, it cuts to him saying it. It's just like, come visit, and then it's LeBron saying the
LeBron James of foot doctors. Is it too obvious for us to take the T-Wolves here? Could they be outgunned? T-Wolves have been solid against the Lakers, 5-2 straight up their last 7. Obviously,
if they win, do they let Gobert back?
Yeah, I don't know what they do. Terrell, what are you doing in this game?
Man, I struggle with this because the Minnesota's had a pretty solid streak against the Lakers recently, where they've won actually. Outside of this last game, they won 4 straight prior. So, unfortunately, here I think that without Rudy Gobert, that frees them up to play a lot faster in terms of pace and tempo and get the ball up the court. You have multiple people that can handle the ball, from Mike Conley to Kyle Anderson. Like, those guys can make smart decisions with the basketball, and then you just feed Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. And I think that's really how you end up winning this game without the lack of center depth that you have. I mean, you're going to give up points to Anthony Davis regardless. You don't have Rudy Gobert. You don't have Naz Reid. You have no centers on the roster except for Luka Garza. Luka Garza is the only center that they have left on the roster. And so I think that here is the opportunity where it's going to be offense. And are the Lakers good enough to just run away with it in the scoring? I don't think so. I think that Minnesota is going to be able to keep up. So I'll take the 8 points from Minnesota.
Joe in the YouTube chat pointing out, Shane says he thinks the spread is live, money line is not. No way the league lets the Lakers lose. They need Bron versus the villain.
So, I mean, if you want to cue the X-Files music, because are we really sure the Lakers want to win this game?
Wait.
Because if I get to play Denver over Memphis, I'm taking Denver.
Interesting. So I I mean, it seems like we're talking a lot about conspiracy theories in sports right now.
That's the NBA.
Look, did the Lakers have to work hard down the stretch to make the playoffs?
They I don't have their record off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean they
kind of
slow.
cruised to the play-in 7 seed. I think they had a shot at being the 6 seed. I think that's what they were trying to go for to get out of the play-in. But I don't think recently history, especially after Anthony Davis coming back and then LeBron, and then the trades that they made and the team gelling like how they did, I don't think it was any concern that they weren't going to make the play-in.
On some level, Sean, I'm just thinking about Brooks Koepka right now because if I bet against LeBron. And then he comes out but I look at him with the horrible hair plugs, and I just don't see the same young stud that I used to.
He needs to go to the LeBron James of hair plugs is what he needs to do. He went to the LeBron James of foot doctors.
Oh shit!
I thought about tweeting that out one night, but I was worried LeBron would come at me.
That's cold-blooded.
Come at me with the LeBron James.
He was definitely coming at you.
But I think you have to take the Timberwolves to put a bow on it. You have to. They hate Rudy. Look, there's. Again, there's a couple things I've picked up over the years through my championship coaching career. And one is when you see a team that is able to overcome adversity that was about a single player immediately, it's because they all fucking hated that player.
Yeah. And it does feel like, as an NBA outsider, that's the vibes I'm picking up.
The NBA is all effort. If you're gonna get maximum effort from one team.
Especially in a 1-game scenario like this, I think the T-Wolves are hungry.
+8, let's go.
Are hungry.
T-Rolls have fucked me so many times too on the season-long markets. But let's go.
I don't know if they're.
Let's go.
I might be able to talk myself into the money line. But
fun fact: do you know why the Los Angeles professional basketball team is called the Lakers? They came from Minneapolis.
Ultimate revenge game.
City revenge angle as well. Let's go. +8.
If you really like Minnesota and you don't want to take Minnesota, I feel like you have to take Karl Anthony Towns here over 23.5 points.
Ooh,
and you could get him at 25 plus points at even money. You can get him at 20, at 30, at 20, what's that? Plus 280 and plus 750 for 35. If they do anything, it's going to be off the back of Karl Anthony Towns because, frankly, they don't have anybody that can guard him. The biggest person that they have is Anthony Davis, and he hates defending anybody that's the same size as him.
That's true. And
he doesn't like that, the physicality.
And to the earlier conversation, even as a TMZ basketball fan, it did seem odd that in 2023, Minnesota went out and got 2 twin towers to roll out there. So yeah, I think it obviously makes the offense is going to flow. Yeah, let's go. I like the overs.
Munaf, how say you?
Yeah, I think the one thing that does concern me about the Timberwolves is that they will be down, obviously, 2 starters with Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels also, right? I think one of the better defensive players. They also are going to be missing their backup tight end, backup center, Naz Reid in this game as well. But I think that if you like the Lakers, you probably like them early in the first quarter. I still think 8 is too many points here. I'm with you guys. I'm going to be on Minnesota here, but if I wake up tomorrow morning and I see Scott Foster is on this game, I'm flipping real quick.
Yeah, that's actually, and I wanted to play a game. I wanted to play our ref report game here, but they only report 9 a.m. 9 a.m. game day that they released the ref report. So no ref report game, guys.
Well, that's why you got to subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Respect the game of basketball. And yeah, you guys have been killing it over there. Make sure you subscribe there. And hey, we got 2 more games before we get to that. Shout out to Talkify. That's right. Again, Scott Foster is the perfect match for an NBA game that you're looking to fix. Now, let's say you're trying to find your perfect match when it comes to dating. That's where Talkify comes in handy. It's the #1 modern matchmaking service designed to help you achieve relationship success. And if you're a numbers guy, I mean, look at these. 80% of their clients met their person within the first 12 matches.
Yes, sir.
Those are great. I mean, those are great stats. That's a lead pipe lock if I've ever heard them. And again, Talkify does all the heavy lifting. Like they screen the candidates, they do background checks, video interviews, they ask the tough questions that are just sometimes too awkward for first dates. Again, Talkify has you covered. They're offering our listeners 20% off when you become a client at Talkify.com/SGPN. That's TAWKIFY.com/SGPN for 20% off when you become a client. Talkify.com/SGPN. We're also brought to you by Sword Vitality. Again, you're maybe you have your own play-in tournament, if you know what I'm saying, and you might have trouble playing in. You're having trouble getting up for the big game. Nothing to be worried about. Some could say Sword Vitality, the ultimate pregame workout, gets you ready to go, jacked up to perform in the bedroom. No one wants to go do battle with a soft sword. That's where Sword Vitality comes in. 40% of men are affected by impotence by age 40, 70% by age 70. If you don't know what we're talking about boners, and they're awesome. And Sword Vitality helps you get better boners, increase blood flow, and helps you thrive in the bedroom. SwordVitality.com, promo code SGPN. Get that sweet discount. SwordVitality.com, promo code SGPN.
Scott Foster is the Sword Vitality of the NBA.
Well, he is.
Sean and I have a silent rivalry when it comes to Sword Vitality reads. I heard they always come and say, "Hey, Sean had a great read last night," and I always try to top it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Game recognizes game.
Listen, we can all agree. It's
swords recognize swords.
Yeah, it's a fun activity.
I want to leave that to y'all.
What do you mean?
No, you said sword recognize sword. I don't know about all that now.
Cam or Josh, if you're listening, get an infographic or a graphic. Munaf's face. I don't like boners. No, say no to boners in a big red circle.
He likes one, and just one for him.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's
to each their own.
As often as possible, early and often. All right. And real quick, I'm starting to worry a little bit about the validity of the data I read about the accuracy of the data about the Slovenian Americans living in Dallas. So maybe not the biggest population.
Do not come to us when confirming Slovenian facts.
Yeah, so I just want to put that out there. If anyone wants to reach out and correct me, I'd appreciate that. Also, weren't they Slovenians in Taken? Everything's being tied together. All right. Next up, we have the Wednesday play-in games. Bulls, Raptors will start us off here. Bulls are the dog, +5, +170 on the money line. Raptors -200, 215 or 214.5 is the total. I might have been influenced to have some money on the Raptors to win their division. That didn't pay out very nice. We aren't going to talk about it live on the show, but I appreciate some better intel next year before the season. Now I see them; they're here in the play-in game, which means they probably didn't win their division. Didn't actually confirm it. Sean,
yes.
Do you want to start, or shall I have Terrell start?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start. Toronto is a pretty good home team. ATS 25-15-1. They've seemingly handled Chicago past couple times. They won 113-104, 104-98, and are the last two games. Spicy P has been really playing pretty well against Chicago. Also, I feel like I'm the only one who is still calling him Spicy P. I don't know. I feel like the Pascal Siakam nickname. I'm kind of worried. It seems like the betting spreads on this one were a bit fishy.
Interesting.
I just don't see Chicago going into Toronto and getting the win. But the Raptors haven't been great straight up against Chicago, so I'm leaning Toronto, but I could be swayed. What are you doing, Munaf?
Yeah, I do like the under for the game. I know we're not talking about totals here, but I do like the under. I think we'll see a defensive matchup here. But as far as the side goes, I mean, you kind of take a look at the head-to-head matchups over the last, I think, 10 meetups between these two teams. Toronto has won, I think, 7 out of those 10 matchups over that course since 2020. I think the one thing that does concern me about Toronto is I think this team is going to get blown up, whether they lose tomorrow or whether it's further down the line, because I just feel like there's some type of disconnect with this team, whether it's with the head coach and Fred VanVleet not wanting to be there or Pascal Siakam, whatever the case might be. So I'm not sure what the motivation exactly is for Toronto going into this game. For Chicago, I mean, the narrative everybody's going to be talking about is, okay, DeMar DeRozan facing his former team. I don't know how much stock you can put into that at this point. But I'm going to put a little stock into it. I'm going to take Chicago here plus the 5.5.
It's the only stock you got. It's the only stock you got in this league.
Shop around for the best number. I think Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan will have big scoring nights, but I think the one thing that's really separating the Bulls is their perimeter defense with Alex Caruso and Patrick Beverley. I think that's going to be the difference here. I think that they can really contain Fred VanVleet. I think DeMar DeRozan is going to have a huge game. I'm going to go with the Bulls. I'm going to take the points. I can see this being a one possession win either way.
Everyone thought I was crazy when I said the Lakers wouldn't be the same when they lost Alex Caruso.
So we update the graphic to say I'm a totals guy, and then it's a Munaf with like a red circle, the X through it.
Sword right down. Under on swords.
Coming to the merch store soon.
Terrell, you're rolling my eyes when I was hyping up Alex Caruso, but what are you doing here?
Rolling my eyes could mean something else.
Are you on? Are you on the? What are you doing? You doing Raptors? You doing Bulls? What do you got for us?
Yeah, I think I'm going the opposite side of Munaf, and I think I like the Raptors here, and it's because OG Anunoby is a really, really good defender. Like he's one of, he was talked about in the Defensive Player of the Year candidacy in the early part of the season. He got in, and it's really his injuries that kind of mess him up. But when you get a healthy OG, you're getting a lock solid defender, and so that's gonna rattle DeMar DeRozan, who's been off his game for the past week or two. Like he didn't come in playing his best ball, I think we could say, into the play-in. So I think that when you have a DeMar DeRozan that's already kind of iffy right now, add OG to kind of keep him rattled. I think that that's going to take away a level of scoring that they have. And then it's going to be, hey, how can we get the ball out of Zach LaVine's hands? I think that this game is going to be played inside the paint between Vucevic and Pascal Siakam, and they're probably going to be trading buckets over a portion of this game. But I'm going to take the coach that I feel is the better head coach, that I think that can have this team ready to go and locked in to go and try to win, 2 games in a row, because they had the opportunity to not even be in this situation and they folded it away towards the end of the season.
Yeah, they were. I think gun to my head, why not take? We saw the stats on the better seeds, the better team, just winning straight up. I'm gonna take the Raptors -5.
Trend breaker here. And by the way, we should update people as well. It's now pretty much a consensus amongst the scientific community that Raptors are in fact birds. So I don't if
and
that
not dinosaurs.
There's birds from a long time ago that are now extinct. But if that helps your handicap, or maybe that affects your take on,
I was just gonna follow up a line with help us OG Anunoby, you're our only hope. Kind of like
Oh my god.
Great joke, Sean.
Come on.
You're a Star Wars guy now. I get it.
I do. I do
invested
like
in Mando, Andor.
What do you got, Ryan? You've given us nothing.
What do you mean I've given you nothing? I'm on. I told
you're on the birds. No birds.
No, I agreed with Munaf that sometimes motivation's all you got when he brought up DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
That has to matter in this kind of situation. And we don't have time to play the days of our league every single time, but. I mean, like Munaf said, it just in like some surface level reading about the Raptors, they're already talking about the rebuild that needs to happen. They're still playing, so I guess they could have the one last go Braveheart moment, but doesn't seem like NBA players are that type anymore. So DeRozan dominates his old team. I'll be on props. I will be actively reinvesting the live betting money from the Final Four into some NBA play-in game action.
Let's go.
Last up, Oklahoma City, Nolans. The Pelicans are -205, -5.5 on the spread here. Oklahoma City +175, 228.5 is the total. I mean, Is Zion going to play? No, they've already
Zion
announced
Williamson,
he's out, right?
Quote, not even close.
What do you mean?
It sounds like
What?
there's no scenario he's going to
He's
play.
not playing. They don't want to say he's done for the year. He's done for the year. There's no
Yeah.
possible way Zion, even if they were making a run in the playoffs, he's not playing.
Well, I don't get it. It's he pulled a hamstring. That's like 2 weeks most. It really doesn't make any sense.
You know what it probably is? I mean, as someone who also is probably carrying a little too much weight, it's probably back issues, and they don't want to talk about it, so they're going to call it hamstring tightness. And so, what's the worst thing for back injuries? Any back doctor will tell you this. Absolute worst hobby or activity for back injuries: playing basketball. So the doctor is saying, you know, you gotta stay away from that. You can do other stuff like dress horribly, but you can't play basketball for a little bit.
I mean, it seems like the public's all over the Pelicans here. I don't really see why. SGA for the Thunder has played really well against New Orleans, 33.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4.3 assists. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, the Thunder won by 14 the last time they played in New Orleans. This to me feels like worst case, a 1-score game. Getting 5.5 feels like a generous number for this Thunder team. But again, Thunder have been kind of all over the place as well. Don't have a great defense. I'll let you start, Munaf. Which way are you going here?
I'm gonna go with the Thunder. SGA is just so good at basketball, man. I know they have the length and some of the defensive like prowess, the Pelicans with Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, but just God, man, if you watch SGA play, he just makes it look so effortless out there. I know they're playing with house money. I mean, the Thunder, everybody's like you said. I think the public is all over the Pelicans here, but the Oklahoma City Thunder were one of the better away teams this season as road underdogs this season. They were 19-11-3 against the spread. That's 63+% on the season. I think that for the Pelicans, I know Brandon Ingram is going to have a big game. I just think that the Jalen Williamses of the Oklahoma City Thunder, those two guys are going to step up in a huge way as well. SGA, I think he's going to be a matchup nightmare for this team. I like the Oklahoma City Thunder to keep it within the number. I won't be surprised if Pelicans win, but I don't see it outside of 2 baskets. So I'm going to take the Thunder plus the points here.
The 22-year-old recently progressed to low intensity 3-on-3 scrimmaging, but he's had some trouble translating his conditioning into basketball shape. The fuck? You're a professional.
Low intensity basketball.
You're what? Yeah. First of all, what is low intensity 3-on-3?
I feel like I could hang in low intensity 3-on-3.
Second of all, so he's just fat and out of shape.
I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt if he's really injured, but it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Seems like he's just fucking out of shape. You're a professional athlete. Being out of shape is not an excuse. I mean, we used to make fun of Shaq for playing his way into shape. At least he played.
Luka played out of shape for like the first 2 years of his career.
That's fine. But
this is the only time that he was actually in shape, and it's because he was playing in the Olympics over the summer.
Yeah, he accidentally fell into shape.
I was gonna say,
and it was probably and then you're bringing Kyrie or Irving, and who knows what happens.
I'll join you guys on.
Oh, okay, you're on OKC.
Yeah.
Can you make it a clean sweep, Terrell? Are you also taking the Thunder, or could you make a case for the Pels?
I just want everybody to know that this SGA train has been going on for a long time. Since last season, we've been taking his points prop, and it's been cashing. That is not going to change today. You just take his points prop. You don't look at it. You just take it in, and he's going to get there.
So real quick, Terrell, tomorrow and Wednesday, it would be really helpful if you could text over some fun same game situations for me and Sean to invest in while we're watching.
Yes,
I mean,
we will 100% get that down.
Here's what I'll commit to. I don't want to dip the toe in for the NBA playoffs. I'm gonna dive in. I just want to walk up to that cliff and just jump straight into the fucking ocean. So I'm gonna need some serious action for tomorrow. 4-team parlay already queued up.
Let's
go. Got some money liners already queued up.
So Terrell, you're on the SGA points. Are you on OKC for the game plus 5.5?
My heart says yes, but everything outside of my heart tells me do not trust OKC in this spot. this is one of the coldest teams in the NBA. They had a chance to not only lock in themselves into the play-in, but even maybe potentially host a game. Like they could have hosted a play-in game. They could have found themselves not in this situation at all. But you lose to the Pacers, then you lose to the Hornets, then you lose to the well, no, I think they beat the Pistons by a bucket. They were losing games left and right. It didn't matter, no matter what situation they were in. I told people all the time that they were on the corner trying to sell the 10 seed to the other teams for 25 cents on the dollar, and nobody would buy it. And so now, while I have immense trust in SGA, and there is nothing more than we as a league deserve than to see SGA in a 7-game series, I'm going with the team that's been here before, that's done this before, that has the head coach that can coach this team out of the play-in as he did the year before, and the fact that this team is probably the better defensive team as well, and they have more options to go to for consistent scoring outside of their star players.
Oh, no.
Trey Murphy, Herb Jones has been a good scorer recently. You know, we talk about him defensively.
Terrell's making some good points.
Real
Everything in my
move.
heart wants to see OKC as an 8 seed, and we get them in a series against a Denver team that they're really, really good against. But I have to look at the facts here. I have a line movement in the favor of the Pelicans with sharp movement going towards the Pelicans as well. I have everything that I just said. The Pelicans are clearly the better team, even though they don't have the best player on the court. I'm going with, reluctantly, Pelicans minus 5.5.
Being a real villain. Fun fact: do you remember when Zion missed almost 3 weeks because his shoe broke? I mean, who saw this coming? Him not playing games. So we were so hard.
That was the start of it. I think he's played a total of about 25 games since that instance.
It's crazy.
Since he broke his shoe.
Shout out to Nick in the chat. He said he had some sword vitality last weekend.
Oh,
next thing he knew, he was engaged in some low intensity 3-on-3. So
I'm here for the gangbang.
Congrats to you, Nick. Sounds like a full evening.
Yeah.
I prefer high intensity.
Imagine about to have a sex party and be like, hold on, gotta take my pills.
Let's go.
Well, Terrell, when you're older, I mean, before you make jokes about it, and also sometimes it's fun to take recreational. I've heard, but you know, you never know. You might, listen. There's a big red button on the bus. That says,
I'm bored today, and let me just take a sword of vitality.
So there's a red button. There's a red button on your desk. It says turbo. You're just gonna sit there, go through your entire life and never push that button.
Occasionally switch it on, see what happens.
I mean, you never thought to see what it felt like to hit the Nas button once.
It's that button that says "Do not push," but you want to push it. That's
exactly.
Oh hell yeah! Like
break in case of emergency, or if you just want to have fun. All right, this was fun. Let's get to our lock, one dog.
This is easy.
Munaf the Machine, you have the honors, sir. What are you doing? What's your lock and your dog? And you can do whatever you want for the dog. You can put in a prop there, or you can put a parlay. Yeah. Okay. Allow some totals, whatever you want to do.
I am going to lock up the Minnesota Timberwolves plus the 8. I think that's just too many points for this Lakers team. I think they do get off to a fast start, but I think that this would probably be a 5 to 6 point victory for the Lakers. For my dog, I think that DeMar DeRozan has a big game tomorrow. 25 plus points is at plus 145 for him. 30 plus is at 425. So I'll give you 25 plus points for DeMar DeRozan plus 145 against his former team in Toronto on Wednesday.
Gotta figure
that says everything about how DeMar DeRozan has been playing recently, that you can get his 25 plus points at plus money.
Buy low.
Oh, I like that. We like to buy low here on the sports.
Buy low, sell high. Terrell, what do you got?
All right, for my lock, let's go with it's New Orleans, guys. New Orleans minus 5.5.
Woo! The villain.
Wow. Okay.
Fading the entire show. I like the audacity.
Well, fading us isn't that big. That's not newsworthy.
If I have to fade my darlings, then I'd rather at least fade them and make money.
Oh, wow.
All right.
For
my dog, it's Cat. It's always been Cat. Cat, as soft as he may be, he's going to show up in this game. Plus 280 for 30 plus points.
Woohoo! Oh man,
that's
like
almost
that.
better than the that Minnesota money line.
Well, yeah, because that we're seeing the money line at like 275. Cat 30+ points is like
He could do that.
I would
Lost.
much rather take Cat than take the money
Yeah,
line.
because you can get it. You can get it either way. I like that. I
Excellent
like that.
play, Terrell.
May have to steal that. Kramer, what do you got?
Lock, Jimmy Butler, -5.
Hair Jordan.
Dog. Can I just I'm gonna parlay both of those together.
Which ones?
Both of their dogs together to make a bigger dog.
Oh, okay. So you're doing.
I'm
you're
gonna
doing
take
Cat
the 3 points. Yep, over 30 points
on.
plus 280 for
DeRozan
Big Cat.
points.
And DeRozan over 25. This is plus 145 plus 280. I'll do the math.
Here he goes trying to do math. Just be quiet. I got it.
You already got it.
Plus 830.
Oh. All right. I like
You
that.
know what, Terrell? Add in Kyle Anderson double into that.
Oh no. That's
Jesus
too much.
Christ,
That's
no.
too much.
Plus 180.
He doesn't even know who Kyle Anderson is.
I absolutely do. I loved him at UCLA. Suck it.
All right. For me, my lock.
Played in slow motion in college. I assume he does the same in the pros.
Oh, I think I got even slower.
Yeah.
My lock, I'm going Miami -5. I mean, Kramer stole my lock.
Let's go.
And
Just copy everything.
For my dog. Here, listen to my dog. This is completely original, same game.
Oh,
parlay.
really? Nice.
Kyle Anderson double. I love that.
Oh, nice.
DeMar DeRozan over points and Carl Anthony. DeMar DeRozan over 25 points. Carl Anthony Towns over 30 points.
Round robin. Let's just round robin it. Yeah, fucking A. Let's
Can
go.
you round robin player props?
I mean, you can do it manually.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
Well, what's the three-way?
I will.
What's the sword vitality 3-way pay?
All right, let's see here. Where's Kyle Anderson?
We
I'm
really
gonna start
should
doing
the
that.
sword vitality lock.
What is it again? You said Kyle Anderson double.
I got it right here. Kyle Anderson double. DeMar DeRozan 25. That is 17-1.
Oh.
Okay. All right, that feels a little tasty.
And this all happens on Tuesday. All right.
I think Chicago's on.
Oh
Chicago's
fuck.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta sleep on it.
Spread it out.
That's
I like
fine.
it.
Probably good. All right, good.
I think
time.
that we have somehow turned 8 picks into 5.
That's fine. Oh my god! we and I got to be honest. I had a good time talking about the NBA. Maybe we should do it again later in the week.
Oh, we got it coming up. We'll be talking more NBA playoffs with some guys from the NBA Gambling Podcast.
They only want us one time a year.
We'll be doing
Twice a year
multiple
before the season and then after the season.
People do seem to care about the playoffs.
No,
And
NBA playoffs is when it gets good.
and the storylines are extra juicy this year. This
It's
season,
not the playoffs, but people do like winning with us.
yes.
that's obviously baked into the situation. But I will say this season of the NBA has been electric.
Nick
Off the court.
Nick in the YouTube chat says when your boss steals your project and takes credit for it. No, that was my model completely at all these.
Yeah, I mean,
we use similar modeling
guys,
techniques at SGPN.
I would never do something negative EV, and this is what the model spit out.
No,
Obviously, there's many ranges of outcomes here, but this was the bulk of the meat of the curve, not the tail. We're not playing long tails here.
No long tails here. All right. Big thanks, of course, to Terrell Furman. Follow him on Twitter at really.
Well, I have a long tail.
You do actually have a tail on the end of your
you and
Twitter
Deshaun
handle.
can discuss that after the show.
Really rel.
You call it a tail?
__ at the end of his Twitter. Also check out him on the WNBA, NFL gambling, and the college experience. And what's
WNBA draft happening, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
See,
Aaliyah
Terrell's
Boston,
shocked
number
right
1
now.
overall.
Shocked.
Aaliyah Boston, number 1 overall. Diamond Miller going to the Lynx.
Oh, here we go.
Saw him on also made his VEASAN debut.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Hardwood Culture Podcast. Terrell's everywhere.
Oh,
Much
yeah.
like our boy Munaf. You can follow him on Twitter at Sports Nerd 824. Besides NBA, also got you covered on the MLB Gambling Podcast, the Propcast, NFL Pod. He's all over the place as well.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
And we have a NFL or NBA playoff contest coming. Stay tuned. Download the SGPN app. We're going to announce that sometime tomorrow. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you as always for tuning in to the Sports Gambling Podcast. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green, and he is Ryan.
So juicy.
Kramer. Let it ride.